All right, guys, I hope you are doing well. I'm going to do a quick review on our new social trends page, particularly our trending tokens tab that you can find on it. And before I jump over to our live look at it, some of you may have seen a couple weeks ago, we released a quick overview and review of how it works with our new trending tokens page, which I'll show in real time in just a moment. Um, Talking about how to break down positive, neutral versus negative sentiment, figure out what to really interpret when you see an asset is trending, including the AI summary, which I think is super awesome and extremely helpful for our community. It's helped me a lot too for making content and finding out why an asset is suddenly being talked about so much. And of course, you still have our midterm trends here where you can see, the difference between bull market and bear market calls, discussions about AI and inflation, the CPI report, all sorts of fun stuff there. And of course, we still have our trending overall keywords as well, which sometimes can include assets like you saw Engine and Solana were a couple of weeks ago. And then that also gives us connected words. It's a lot of really valuable stuff. So if you'd like to kind of read about why this is so valuable, we still have that insight up on insights.santiment.net right now. You'll find it here dated September 6th. Now, with that said, let's jump over to our live version as promised. And I'm going to start with the newest kid on the block here, which is our trending tokens tab. So we have immediately when we look at this, we can see a search prompt right here where we can type in any asset, or we can go straight to the trending tokens and see what our platform uh, algorithmically finds to be the 10 highest trending assets in crypto right now based on the highest percentage of increase in discussion rate related to them. So obviously we see Elon here at the top right now. It's common sense, of course, that Elon is not being discussed more overall than Bitcoin, but from a percentage standpoint, in terms of Elon, aka Dogeland Mars, how much it's talked about usually, which is very little, compared to right now, we're seeing this huge spike in discussion. So that's why it's showing by far as the number one trending token right now. Of course, right below it, we have Bitcoin. We'll get into exactly why. Pancake Swap has been trending a lot, Tether, Trias, um, FNSA, Spell Token, Ethereum. Interesting to see that the top one, two, and three tokens in crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether, are all trending at the moment. Bakery Token and Rocket Pool round out the top 10. Now, on top of that, as I alluded to, there's a positive, neutral, and negative sentiment here that you can look at. So we can actually see, all right, Dogeland Mars is being talked about a lot, but is the talk generally positive? Is it generally negative? Well, generally speaking, I think anything over about 15% negative sentiment means it's kind of a polarizing discussion rate because more often than not, as you can see with every other token here, there is more positive sentiment toward the asset than negative. That's just generally going to be the reason that it's trending in the first place is some positive news that's getting it on people's radars. But that said, we can see that the positive sentiment for Dogeland Mars is still at about 63%, with the negative sentiment being at about 18%. So some of you may wonder, well, how do you come up with what is positive, neutral, or negative? Well, for positive sentiment, our algorithm looks for keywords that go along with it. Are people saying um, Dogeland Mars with the word bullish in it, or I think it's going to the moon, or um, it just partnered with this platform, therefore it is going to get a spike in price, right? Those are the kinds of things where you will see uh, a lot of positive sentiment scores coming in for it. Negative sentiment, you might see the word bearish, you may see the word scam if people think it's not a viable asset. Rug pull would be another one where our algorithm will automatically classify it as a negative post. And then in terms of where we pull this data from, we have our usual sources of Reddit, on Twitter, now known as X, Telegram, Discord, and we even pull from 4chan. So between those five platforms, we've got a pretty nice sample size of public platforms that can indicate exactly uh, how much an asset is being talked about and whether it is, um, a positive or negative leaning bias toward that asset. And then, of course, neutral, as you would expect, that's kind of the unclassified region where people may be bringing it up, but our algorithm can't quite figure out whether they're leaning bullish or bearish, and we don't want to just guess, of course, which is why it falls into that neutral range. So, of course, this will update from what I've seen every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes or so, it's going to do a refresh if you were to refresh right now. Um, and then you can also look at previous days. So I can go back to September 18th, give it just a few seconds, and boom, we've got more trending tokens popping up from yesterday, the day before, so on and so forth. So let's go back to our current day, September 19th here, the time of this recording. And now let's scroll down a little and we can see more context. So these are the same 10 assets that you saw up here, but they have a lot more context. We can see the social volume over the past 7 days, with Elon actually getting more discussion about, eyeballing it maybe 5 days ago compared to now, but it's still getting a lot of discussion. We can also see the token price has been rising more often than not. When you see an asset trending, it's probably because the token is going up, but not always. But for example, Triaz and FNSA, these have both been dropping pretty significantly, and we can see why it has been by looking at the AI summary. Triaz is trending because it's been delisted from KuCoin and placed under special treatment. So there's concerns over its delisting and its channel breaking down. So that gives a little bit of context, right? So you don't just see these assets and go, okay, this is being talked about, but I don't know why. Well, we're trying to instantly give you a reason based on our AI bot, which is scraping data and figuring out the most popular topics and contexts that are going with these keywords. So we can see Elon, for example. It looks like it's kind of a lot of irrelevant discussions, white hair, background, eyes. Let's see if the AI summary gives us anything. Um, yeah, this is all memes. So this is our AI is picking up. It's a lot of kind of um, people just poking fun at the asset and not actually showing too much interest in the asset for its actual price movement. But I can guarantee, based on this price trajectory, that it is still being talked about a lot because of its price. And we can open up its social trends here and actually see with context how often it's being talked about. Let's just go to the last week. Yeah, and the price, it looks like we're under Bitcoin right now, but if I click on Elon, you can see that it had this big spike earlier today and then it dropped back down. And this gives both the social volume in blue and social dominance in red. That social dominance is giving the percentage of discussions related to Elon. So I'll close that out. And the next one down, of course, is Bitcoin, the number one asset in crypto, according to its market cap. And it's trending due to the potential influx of new money into the crypto market due to Japan's largest investment bank, known as Nomura, launching a Bitcoin adoption fund. So this is kind of a similar effect to what we've seen with Grayscale and some of the other ETFs, Franklin Templeton recently, that have been filing to get more people exposed to crypto, even if they aren't traditional traders and investors who own raw crypto on an exchange. These types of opportunities are giving non-crypto traders the opportunity to have exposure to crypto without owning any because maybe they aren't comfortable doing so, or they have some reason, or it's not allowed in their country or their region. So of course, that's going to be a reason that Bitcoin is getting talked about more, and obviously its price has risen since it started trending like this. So we can even look at the volume and dominance. And what I'm going to do here, let me check really quick. So it's called Nomura. Let's see what direct effect Nomura had. I'll take off social dominance, so I'm going to directly compare these two. So Nomura, it looks like it started getting hype way back on August 1st. Let's zoom in a little bit more though. So here's just the last week. A lot of talk about Nomura earlier today. It didn't really seem to have too much of an effect, but perhaps there was already some people knowing about Nomura a couple days ago, and that lended to the rise in Bitcoin, right? So you can easily use our social trends page to not only look at the asset, but compare it to other keywords, right? Let's say I want to look at bull run. What I want to do there is type bull and if I put and in caps, it's going to signify that we're just combining those two words together. How many times has the words bull and run been together in a comment and directly relate that to Bitcoin? Well, it does look like there's a little bit of extra bull run talk around the end of last week. This was last Friday. And then a little more bunched up here. And then look, right here we see a big spike right around the top, and then prices drop a little bit. That's very normal. Most of these red spikes, actually, they're popping up right as prices are starting to pick up. And as soon as people talk about bull run, it drops down a bit. It's not a perfect science by any means, but if you look back enough in time, you'll see plenty of instances where it was very clear that people were talking about bull run and all of a sudden the prices topped out. Perfect example right here, July 13th, right? Bull run being talked about after Bitcoin jumps up to a bit over 31K. Price tops out almost instantly afterwards and drops back down. That's the kind of signal you want to see if the price is going to keep on climbing. All right, so back to our social trends page. The other thing I want to mention, we have lots of different assets that can appear here, but pay a lot of attention to the connected words here on the trending tokens because they can really be helpful if you're not sure what to compare, like I just did on that previous screen. Look at something like Kyber score when looking at Spell. Look at something like it looks like NFTs are very popular among Ethereum discussions right now, and likely is why Ethereum is in our top 10 right now. So those are the kind of things that can really be helpful. And of course, the AI summary can be extremely helpful. Right here in the summary, it tells you why the word Kyber score is trending with Spell, and it'll explain exactly what Kyber score is. So that's a very, very helpful tool, in my opinion, to give you an advantage when it comes to analyzing which assets to put in your portfolio, quite frankly, especially if you're an altcoiner that's swing trading a lot and moving one asset out and one asset in to your portfolio to try to maximize your returns. I think this is maybe the home base for you to start when it comes to figuring out what to invest in. Now, of course, as I mentioned, we have the midterm trend still. If we take a live look, it's going to be the usual discussions, but what you can do is see how they've been trending as of late. We can see that bull market has been picking up some steam, especially since prices have jumped roughly 5% over the last 5-6 days or so. Bear market starting to come down a little bit. So that indicates that people are starting to get a bit bullish, have more of a bias toward thinking prices will continue to rise, which is usually the case when it goes on a little mini week run like it has been. You can also see AI has taken a big tick up. Inflation last week had a lot of discussion due to the CPI report coming out and the jobs report looking slightly better than expected here in the US where I am. HERV drama is almost non-existent now. People have stopped talking about that for the most part. So that's kind of the midterm trends. And then we've got the hourly trends still. So again, we have Dojilon not only as the top topic in terms of assets, but it's the top topic for any keyword right now. I would imagine this is, yeah, it's the same AI summary as what we saw on the asset page. So it's a lot of kind of trolley comments right now, which is not the most helpful example. But you can see Nomura, for example, right? That is not going to show up on the asset or the trending tokens page, but of course, it's a trending keyword, and we just found out why by looking at the Bitcoin AI summary, which is number 7, coincidentally, on the trending keyword top 10 list here. So lots of very helpful information that you can use to your advantage. And last but not least, I want to point out that we have this Alpha Narratives tab. And what this does is it will allow you to explore the narratives that are happening in the markets right now. And we have expert analysis that's constantly being released for our community and kind of gives you some extra context through charts like these, where you can actually see comparatively to one another which topics are starting to gain traction, which were big deals but maybe aren't big deals now, um, and really goes above and beyond, the trending tokens, midterm trends, and hourly trends tabs to give you exclusive reports that can be very advantageous for you. So you can get early access. You can just enter your email here, click request access, and boom, our team will be informed to add you onto the list when we start to release these alpha narratives. We think they're going to be extremely helpful, and we'll have more information on how these alpha narratives look in future videos and insight articles. But I highly recommend it. And please leave your comments and let us know what you think about what we're showing off here today. Let us know what you think we could potentially add to make our social trends even better. I know that the trending tokens is something that's pretty revolutionary and something we're pretty proud of, but we know it can get better. And with your feedback, we're confident that we will make this the perfect tool to make sure that you have a distinct advantage week after week, month after month, and even year after year over your fellow traders who don't have this kind of information at their fingertips. So with all that said, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.